Alison, tell us a little first about how this strategic plan was developed.
Well, the plan was developed as a result of a review that was undertaken under the aegis of the US Marketing Partnership Group, which comprises members of both the US and Irish industry stakeholders. What we launched today in terms of the plan is basically the culmination of 6 months' work, which was very ably facilitated by the Genesis Research Group and involved an incredible amount of in-depth research and analysis of both desk research, third-party data, but more specifically a lot of consultation with key industry stakeholders on both sides of the Atlantic, workshops and many other things, as well as the Tourism Ireland team. So we feel that it's a broad piece of work and one that has been completed over the last 6 months or so.
Terrific. Now, this may be a bit unusual, but I'm going to go to the end of the report first to talk about what for me is the most exciting part, in fact, the growth targets. A 20% growth in visitors to the island of Ireland by 2015, representing over 200,000 incremental visitors annually, and moving market share of all US visitors to Europe up from currently 8% to over 9%. That's very ambitious. Are you satisfied that it's realistic, and why?
Absolutely, we're satisfied it's realistic. It's obviously challenging, but we do believe it is realistic. In the context of the US outbound market to Europe, the market is forecast to grow by 12% over the next 3 years. So to deliver on the ambition of this plan, which, as you've rightly said, will be 20% growth, which translates into roughly about an additional 180,000 visitors, it will require Ireland to deliver accelerated growth. I think we have the opportunity. We have very strong brand awareness in the United States, and I think we're in a good position. Assuming we continue to focus and prioritise our activities, it's achievable.
Sure. And what's different about this plan?
I think there's 3 things that are really different, and for anybody reading it online afterwards, first of all is to bring a sharper focus to who we're targeting, getting a better understanding of our best prospects, not so much just understanding who they are, but what motivates them, what makes them tick, and plugging our messaging in to address how we can appeal to them in Ireland, broadening the relevance of Ireland. As we looked at the research, it became very clear that we have been seeing an increase in younger visitors. We've also seen an increase in people coming to Ireland who are staying for a shorter period of time. So we're going to look at opportunities to extend the relevance of the Irish vacation to a different group of people. And the third area, which I think is new and different, is really building on the success that we've had in the digital space. It's where the action is in terms of communicating with people, inspiring them and connecting them with relevant messaging. And it's where we need to be in terms of bringing the brand to life so that we get to respond and get them to travel now. As you know, Eamon, there's lots of interest in travelling to Ireland from the United States. Our goal with our partners is to get them to travel now.
Sure. And you've identified 3 priority segments. Tell us a little bit about those.
Essentially what we've identified, the 3 priority segments, they are essentially the sweet spot of our broader sightseer and culture seekers. 2 we're calling middle-aged explorers, and another segment is called the mature must-seers and doers. And the third new segment is the young independents. And that, I suppose, for a lot of people watching today is a new departure for us. They're essentially people aged in their late 20s, early 30s, very digitally savvy, tend to travel as couples or with groups of friends. And they're interested in, they have a high propensity to travel during the shoulder season. The other 2 segments, again, whilst they vary from an age perspective, they have varying degrees of interest in history and heritage and culture. The slightly older segment are more predisposed to travelling on escorted tours, and they like to, I suppose, travel around and have a slightly more predetermined itinerary. For the middle-aged group, a slightly more independent, but both of those are very educated and affluent.
Sure. And you're also targeting 3 other smaller niche segments for special focus. What are they?
They are golf, which, as you know, remains a priority segment for the United States, and specifically targeting the promotion of links golf, business tourism with a specific focus on the discretionary segments of incentive travel and the association conference. Those 2 niche segments remain the largest and most productive segments in the US. So we felt to focus beyond those 2, we would be spreading ourselves too thinly. And the third and very important niche, which we'll continue to focus on, is on the diaspora and the ancestral Irish market. And particularly, we'll be looking to capitalise on the gathering this year and looking to build a legacy from that going forward.
And of course, when we talk about the US market, any market I suppose, but particularly the US market, air access is so important to realising ambitious targets. But there's pretty good news on that front for next year at least.
Yeah, very good news. We've had, as you know, 4 very significant announcements over the last 4 or 5 weeks. The announcement by Aer Lingus to add capacity to Dublin on both Boston and Chicago. The recent announcement by American Airlines to introduce a new service from JFK to Dublin. And 2 additional announcements to Shannon, one with United Airlines from Chicago to Shannon, and just yesterday the US Airways announcement from Philadelphia, the reinstatement of the Philadelphia Shannon service. All very good news. So we will end up with an extra 15% seats for next year. So that puts us in a very strong position to grow. And the additional marketing power that will come with that will be critical to helping us realise the ambition of this plan.
Yes, it does indeed, and that news is particularly good for Shannon and the west of Ireland, of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's an ambitious plan, as we said, Alison, but it's terrific to hear the confidence you express in achieving its stated goals. It seems to me, however, that significant resources will be required to deliver these results, and insofar as you can say, are you comfortable that these resources will be made available to you?
Well, we hope so. Obviously, I can't give you a definitive answer on that. I think we hope that the value of the US market will be recognised. I think, as we all know, it's the second largest market for Irish tourism, long-staying, high-spending, and more specifically, I think the recovery we've seen over the last 2 years puts us in a very good position to build on what has been a fairly successful and good story so far, but there's so much more potential, so much more we can do. 15% more seats. If we're going to be serious about delivering on the ambitions of this plan, we can't afford to lose our share of voice. So I hope that that will be recognised,
Sure.
and I guess time will tell.
And of course the prize is very great, because at the end of this, apart from increasing market share, you're talking about having over 1 million visitors from the US in 2015.
Absolutely.
That really would have a huge economic impact on tourism all over Ireland, but indeed particularly in the west of Ireland and Northern Ireland.
It will. I mean, I think, the US market has always been very good for Irish tourism, and we've seen even in the downturn, Tourism Ireland and other agencies in our industry have continued to invest in the market, so that when things have turned, we really have reaped the reward, and I would expect the same to be true going forward through the life of this plan.
Sure. Well done, Alison. Best of luck with it. It's a terrific plan, and I'm sure the industry will be thrilled to get down to the nuts and bolts. It's impossible to cover it in a few minutes like this, but you've done a good job on that, so thank you very much.
Thank you, and we look forward to working with everybody.